News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a protest. I was just looking. I'm looking at this stuff, getting ready. Make it a protest. Get out of here. Take a number. You want to protest me? Take a number. Get in line. We'll call you when it's your turn. Everybody here was, boy, did everybody stop with the look at me and start laughing when I said it, make it a protest. Woo! Okay, make it a preset. Add a protest if you want. Honestly, take a number. Good luck with that. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. By the way, speaking of protest, I will never forget the Carlos Quintanilla, the joke of a guy, and he was saying he was going to protest. Remember? I've told you about this. It was when we were at when I was doing afternoons at KLF. First 2 years I was on the air here, about 14 to 12 years ago. Those first 2 years, and he said he was going to protest. He said, "We will protest at 3500 Maple." And he gave the date and time. I said, great. And then I was like, tell him, just make sure you spell my name right on the signs and such. And he never showed up, and I was angry. I was demanding he protest me. I wanted that. I wanted some attention now. I love getting attention. So, and I was always say, when is your protest? Where's that? It was great. So I'm still waiting for you, sir. Okay, now, UTD, speaking of protests, there were 21 arrests at UTD. Here is the arrest audio. This is beautiful. I could fall asleep to this. It's so peaceful and beautiful. This is our Texas DPS, state troopers, This is our Richardson Police Department. This is our UTD Police Department. And this is Collin County Sheriff's Department. And they are just having fun. This is a party. This is a party that I would love to have been at. Yes. Isn't this your kind of party right here? Their tents and all their tables flipped over, and their tents that were, when you go to like a fair or something like that, people have these tents that unfold that are several $100s. They were just busted up and, crunched down and stepped on and trashed by our awesome cops. And they were cuffed and they were stuffed. And that's exactly where they belonged, in jail. They spent the whole night there, and they got to enjoy the fruits of their labor in jail. And they came out, and there were some people that clapped for them. Okay. Yes, they are out there at the Collin County Jail flying their Palestinian flags. Okay, so would you hire these people? I love that we have their mugshots. I've got all their mugshots. Would you hire these people? Boy, it's quite an array of people, and some of them need to shave. Actually, a couple of them, several of them really need to shave, including some of the ladies. No offense. And excuse me. A little cough there. Allergies. Anyway, would you hire them? Honest question. Would you hire any of these people that were arrested yesterday? And the other thing, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he was saying yesterday on The Five, he was a contributor, and he did a great job. I like the guy a lot. Who doesn't like this guy? He's a great guy. And he says, I pay for AI searches, and they look on the dark web and everything, and we find out who you are. And if you're in any of these things, you won't know. We ain't going to say nothing to you. We're just going to put you in a pile, the do not hire pile. You'll never hear from us, and you will never know. So every one of these people, make sure you do a query search and don't hire these losers. It's on my website, my Twitter feed, at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show. Heck, I'll even post it on my website. I've been so lazy for so long on my website, but chriscrock.com, I'll put it up there. Don't hire these losers. Would you hire any of these people? Truthfully. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. What about these professors? Ali Asghar Ali Bahai, an assistant professor of art history, and with a minor in jihadism, right? That was a joke by me. You like that one? a minor in jihadi. Where was I? There it is. Ho! Hold on. There we go. And Rosemary Admiral, an assistant professor, and associate history professor Ben Wright, booked into the jail where they belong. We don't have any charges listed just yet, but they were released. I don't want these would you, if you were a Jew, would you trust them? 800 would you want to take their class if you were a Jew? I'm being very, very serious with you here. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Do you want these professors teaching at any of our classes or any of our Texas public universities? I do not. Can you imagine what if they think my son's a Jew? I'm not Jewish, but what if they think he's a Jew? What if his name sounds Jewish? When you hate Zionists, I'm a Zionist, by the way. I mean, do you understand that almost everybody in this country is a Zionist? If you support Israel, you're a Zionist. I am a Zionist. I bleed Zionism. Do you want these people to work for us as a public university professor? I say hell no. Excuse my language. Heck no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't trust them, and I don't trust them to give the same grade. These poor Jewish students, and I mean this, not like they're charity cases, but can you imagine being a Jew and having these three as your professor? They should not be allowed to be professors in the state of Texas on a public university. I could care less about a private university. You want to go to Rice and teach poison to kids and teach them that they're to hate Jews? You go ahead and do that, but not on our campuses. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Would you hire any of these protesters, and do you want these professors teaching at any of our public universities? 800-288-WBAP. Now, I love this. They're trying to make them look bad in this news story. Fox 4 says the officers arrived in armored vehicles with riot gear on. Good, because they had a party. It's our kind of party. Enjoy it, friend. Bolt cutters to remove the protesters chained to the trees, or they had stuff chained to the trees. They were there for action. By the way, Students for Justice in Palestine, which hates Jews, which praises Hamas, they praised Hamas, and they said resistance comes in all forms: armed struggle, general strikes, and popular demonstrations. All of it's legitimate. All of it's necessary. And then also, their National Students for Justice in Palestine, which was at this UTD campus the other day, they said, thank you, Yemen, alongside of a photo in a rally in Yemen with the Arabic slogans on it from the Houthis, the terrorists. Death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews. This is who Students for Justice in Palestine are, and they were at the campus of UTD. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to share with you, too, from my heart, stories that just came up that are kind of in this realm that I wanted to share with you just from my heart. By the way, I should tell you this, too. UT Arlington lecturer was arrested at a pro-Palestinian protest. He tried to, a University of Texas at Arlington lecturer was trying to set up tents. Get out of here. Get out of here, you Hamas supporter. Get out of here. That guy shouldn't be lecturing anybody about anything. He should go find a job at a private university. We should not be having these people on our payrolls. The same people protesting UTD are the same idiots mad that they got their mugshots taken after they were at Garland at the Raytheon or General Dynamics or whatever it is there in Garland. And there were some Muslim women who were wearing their hijabs, and they were angry. They had to take them off for their mugshots. Hey, you want to get arrested? Your hijab comes off. We have a picture of who you are. You want to commit crimes? We're going to have a picture of who you are. You don't want that? Don't get arrested. And I'm grateful that at UT Dallas, 20 counter-protesters were there for Israel. Now, here's something from my heart. I think I'll hold it when we come back next. From my heart next is we're going to tie this in with high school students, a local school here in North Texas, and they had some serious anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, sick things being told to a Jewish student for 3 years. Nothing was done about it. The parents complained. The kid complained. And so what is Hillcrest High and DISD doing in response to this? And this is what is heart-touching, and you need to hear this, especially if you have teenage kids or you have kids that are going to be teenagers. You have to listen to what I have to say, and I mean this with all of my heart, because I'm going to tell you about what my daughter and her friend did and what one of my daughter's friends is saying. And everything is going to come full circle for you, for your child, Just please listen. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. And then we're going to have some fun, too, with the we've got interviews of these young students who are at these frat members who were not obese, miserable, sick, angry, factually clueless, don't know what they're protesting for, standing up and saving that American flag and putting it back up at UNC. You're going to hear from them. Because it gives me that with President Trump and what he said today. We're seeing some really good pieces of hope that I want to share with you. All that's next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP. See, it's not all misery. See? Smile. 800-288-WBAP. Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Chris Crock Show. Okay. I told you I would talk from my heart, and I want to do that before we go back to my normal bent. And I like doing this, and I don't do it enough. So here I am. Hillcrest High had a bad anti-Semitism thing going on for 2-3 years at least. And finally, it hit the news, and the family got the right attention, and everybody, especially with the horror and the terror attack from the vile satanic terrorist Hamas, and what they did to our Jewish brothers and sisters in Israel on October 7th. So they were calling him, he was taunted with names like Dirty Jew. This is from the Dallas Morning News today, a follow-up. He was taunted with names like Dirty Jew, swastika drawings, and he heard other teens praise Hitler, along with several other incidents over 3 years. And there was a complaint that was co-filed by Stand With Us, a California-based nonprofit that works to combat anti-Semitism and support Israel. And this Hillcrest student has interned with them. And so basically, this was blown up in a good way, and nobody was working with them at the school. They pretty much ignored it for 2-3 years. The family tried, the adults tried, after the kid tried. So here's what they've decided to do as of today. This came out in the Dallas News and nowhere else. Hillcrest High, partnering with a handful of organizations in light of what happened, including the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum, to provide campus training. Let me talk to you about this. I told my wife today, I said, my daughter was out, and I said, hey, thank God thank God that you took my daughter and her friend, one of her besties for years now, since they were like 8 or something. Thank God you took them to the Holocaust Museum here in Dallas years ago. I don't know, probably it might have been 3-4 years ago, actually, maybe it wasn't too long ago, but here's the deal. My daughter and her friend, and they're 17, so they're young ladies, and like I'm a dork, and I try to make them laugh or whatever. I also try to be a second father to her friend, because she's a sweetheart, and we love her very much. And it's vice versa for both families, for their kids. The son and daughter are both very close, and we're grateful for them. And I said, they went there, and they didn't. My wife and I, she wishes they had more time. I wasn't able to go with them, so she and her friend, we're all very close with the family. So the two moms went, my wife and her friend, and then the 2 daughters. And the daughters were really going slow through the exhibits because it was so powerful to them. And here you have these, 14, 15-year-olds, I don't know what, and they I think they tried a little bit or maybe a lot during some of these parts of this. We taught our daughter and we taught our son with a curriculum that is completely truthful, and it's the best curriculum that we could ever rave about. We homeschooled, and it's not us, it's this program, and we're just the conduits for the program. And they read about the horrors of slavery and the horrors of the Holocaust, and there are vile things in there that you read about because it's the truth, and you must know the truth. And I'm proud to say that my kids know the truth, and they know a heck of a lot more of the truth than they would if they went to public school. I went to public school, but I'm just saying that I'm telling you something. There's no varnish on this stuff. And thank God for that. I'm telling you something. I think these kids are not getting what they need today. And I think that I know that my daughter has a friend that is, I think she's totally brainwashed and totally ignorant of this whole Hamas, this whole protest stuff, okay? And she's a sweetheart, so I'm not sitting here messing with her. I'm just there to support her. But my daughter knows the truth. She doesn't agree with me politically on probably a lot of things, but she knows the truth, and we've raised her right. I told my wife that today. I said, we've raised her right. So she will see this stuff on her own. I asked her yesterday, I cannot preach to her, and you should not either, because I'm going to tell you something you're going to lose. You want to peeve off your daughter? You want to peeve off your son? You want to push them away? Lecture them. I'm telling you something. Don't push them. Share gently. But encourage them to tell you, Dad, I gotta be honest with you, I'm zoning out. Or Dad, I gotta be honest with you, I just don't want to hear it right now. I don't have the bandwidth. I'm tired. Respect that. You preach that crap, they're always going to tune you out. You got to share gently, and you got to find the right time, and you got to have it be spontaneous and real. But take them to the Holocaust Museum. We homeschooled. I'm telling you something. Take them to the Holocaust Museum. Take them to the Holocaust. Before you take them to the Perot Museum, take them to the Holocaust Museum. Let them see the truth. So when they go to the protest and they see this crap, or they see this crap on their campus, they know exactly what it is. One of these protests went down with my son. Is in Japan, but his school had this crap. I sent him stories of this crap. And he said he's not surprised. He knew there were some people, but didn't know it was that bad. He says he's seen some of that crap at the university, even in Tokyo where he's at. Some of it. And then our president had the sick audacity today to throw Japan under the bus and call him xenophobic. He threw him in with China and other countries about immigration. Listen to me, I can't say it. Japan is the linchpin to us winning against China. Period. You insult one of our greatest allies there. You are an idiot. Shut up. Japan they got a lot of issues. Suicide, low birth rate, high pressure. There's a lot of issues. But I'm telling you something. This guy doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Stupid bleepity bleep. One more thing. I'm going to just leave you with this before I share it. I'll tell you the rest coming up in a second, but there's two things. For these idiots that are protesting, and you can chime in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. There's two more things. What happened today when the news story comes out? A Palestinian man went to Auschwitz. What did he do? What did a Palestinian man do when he publicly did? What did he publicly say after he visited Auschwitz? I'm going to tell you what he said. You're going to find out whether you want these people being brought in here by Joe Biden, which is what he says he wants to do now. And Iran has responded to our protests. Did you hear about this? What they're offering to these radical leftist Jew-hating students like the ones who got arrested at UTD? I'll tell you coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk, 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Okay, I was going to say this, that Palestinian man, this is from the J-Post, Jerusalem Post, huge paper out of Israel, and Palestinian man visits Auschwitz and tells Jews to return there. That was in today's J-Post. Palestinian man visits Auschwitz, publicly calls on Jews to return there where they belong, quote unquote. He spanned the camera along the side of the camp, and he continued, God willing, we will free you free from you Jews, and we will be free from you Jews, and you will all return to the concentration camps. Well, that man is a sick. That's Satan incarnate in person. He says, from these ghettos from which the Zionists came, I say, Allah have mercy on all the Palestinians and our martyrs. Free Palestine. You know what? You're in unison with the protesters that got arrested at UT Dallas yesterday. Let me tell you something. You are lazy. You are evil. You don't want to work for your living and for your life, and you don't want to make something yourself like our Jewish brothers and sisters have and did. You blame others for your inability to achieve and succeed. You depress yourself. You suppress yourself. You hold yourself back, and you blame everybody for your problems that's a Jew. And you're the problem. And as a goy, I had some close Jewish friends growing up in a very Jewish area, goyim. As a goy, which is what they call us, Jews, it's kind of a slang, if you will, but it's a joke. As a goy, I catch myself blaming others for my issues even nowadays. This man's been raised to be a professional victim, and that's who's on our campuses. And the useful idiots that allow themselves that go along with this are just as much fools. In fact, Iran has scholarships for them. That's what I was going to tell you. An Iranian university today offered scholarships for their good terrorist, Hamas-supporting Jew haters here in America. Mohammed Mosani, the head of Shiraz University in Fars, Iran, made the offer to students demonstrating outside against Israel's actions in the war against Hamas in Gaza. Iranian state outlet Press TV reports students, this terrorist and man who wants to dance in Jewish blood and rape and kill them all. Students and even professors who have been expelled and threatened with expulsion can continue their studies at Shiraz University, and I think that other universities in Shiraz as well as Fars province are also prepared to provide the conditions. Praise God. Get the hell out of here and go there. Go there. And women, go. Regale. You'll be free. Go to Iran. Go to Iran. Go. You're free. You're free. Go be there in your paradise. Go. There's no Jews there. And if they're there, they're undercover with the Mossad, and they're a lot smarter than you are. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. We will have a moment of fun and of hope coming up next. But first, I want to talk to Jonathan in Dallas. Jonathan, you are in Dallas, and it says here, are Jewish and has faced anti-Semitism all your life. Jonathan, you're on News Talk 820. You're on 820, I should say, AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. You're welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I know you get a lot of them. Let me start with one real quick thought. The word goy is not slang.
Okay.
That's Arab propaganda. The word goy.
No, my friend. No. My friend who's Jewish from junior college. She called me a goy. It was for affection.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The word goy is an actual Hebrew word. It's in the Bible.
Okay.
And it means nation.
Okay. Well, I'm a nation. That's all good. It was just my fun.
It simply means any nation other than the Jewish nation is the goy.
It's all good. Doesn't bother me. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I know it doesn't bother you. I just wanted to make sure because, some people, because of these protests, are being told things that aren't true by these, as I call them, retro revolutionaries. Their grandparents were in the Vietnam demonstrations, and they've learned that in school, and they think that because they're angry, that now they have the right to have all of their behavior exemplified. That they don't have to adhere to any behavioral standards with regards to how they treat other people. And I've been dealing with this since I was in grade school.
Tell me, here in Dallas or what?
Well, when I did live in Dallas, I was a docent at the Holocaust Museum.
Oh, a docent. What does that mean? That's a big word. What does that mean?
Yeah, a docent is basically it's a fancy word for a tour guide.
Why didn't you tell me you're a tour guide?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, because in order to be a docent, you can't just be a tour guide telling people, oh, look over here, look over there. You have to have some kind of connection to the museum's content.
Okay.
For instance, a docent at an art museum is usually an art student that knows something about the art.
Okay.
So I was a docent at the Holocaust Museum because my father was both a partisan during World War II against the Nazis, and he was also sent to Auschwitz.
Oh, my gosh. Where was he born and raised?
He was born and raised in a town that is now part of Romania, but before World War II, it was part of Hungary.
How old is he?
He was born in Transylvanian. He's deceased now.
Okay. I figured, but...
so he was in a town called Najavad, which is now called Oradea. It's a rather big city now. When the Nazis came in, he was part of the World Cup team in 34. He was 17. He was one of the youngest members of the World Cup team. Nobody knew he was Jewish because he used the family's Hungarian Transylvanian name.
Did he have to, or is it just because that's what he is? That because
he did that because that was society at that time. You got to remember, Hungary was one of the primary areas of Europe where Reform Judaism became popular.
Okay.
Okay, prior to the 30s, we called it the Haskalah movement, which was to be more like everyone else.
Okay.
Obviously, it backfired. At least it did in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, he was basically about to be inducted into the Wehrmacht when the Germans entered the area, and his first order was
inducted into the Wehrmacht. What's the Wehrmacht?
Yeah, the German army.
Okay.
The German army, the Nazi army.
Yeah. Okay.
At that time.
Okay.
And because as an athlete, he was given some passes on background checks. And because he was part of the World Cup team, he was basically just welcomed with open arms into the Wehrmacht because that's the way they did things. They were checking his background because his first order was to go round up all his cousins.
Oh gosh.
And he told me the story that he took his standard issue German rifle and his uniform. He walked through his house. His mother and father gave him a backpack full of food and ammunition. And he headed out the back door and ran to the mountains.
How old was he?
He was about 18.
What became of his parents?
They were killed. They were sent to Mayadank.
What's Mayadank? It's a Holocaust.
Mayadank is the concentration camp to the east of Auschwitz on the Polish-Russian border.
How were they killed?
They were gassed at Mayadank. So was the rest of my father's side of the family. I have no relatives. In fact, I'm the only surviving person of my family from World War II era.
I want people to hear that. Your grandparents were gassed.
Yep.
Your father.
As far as I know, my uncles were forced into labor at Sobibor, and they died of complications from dysentery that they got digging graves.
Why? What happened to your dad? He ran into the hills. Did you say he got sent to Auschwitz?
He ran to the hills. He fought against the Germans as part of a partisan group. The Jews that he joined at first, most of them got killed in their partisan activities. So he joined another partisan group that was a mix of Poles and Ukrainians and other Hungarians. When that unit came under fire, a couple of the comrades turned him in as a Jew, thinking that the German officer, the Nazi officer, he was a Oberfuhrer. My dad told me, he said the Oberfuhrer pointed a gun at all of them and said, okay, which one's the Jew? And they pointed at him, thinking that the Oberfuhrer would let them go. Instead, the Oberfuhrer shot them in the head and took my dad and put him on a train to Auschwitz.
Oh my gosh!
This was right at the end of 44, beginning of 45. When my dad got to Auschwitz, he was immediately put to labor because he was in good shape. But the Russian army was basically about a week away, and they had started the death marches up out of Auschwitz.
What are the death marches out of it? What are the death marches out of Auschwitz?
The death marches out of Auschwitz. The Nazi soldiers rounded up everyone who could march and walk, and basically began the equivalent of the Native American Trail of Tears. They marched them from Auschwitz towards Munich, and if you fell along the way, they shot you. If you didn't make it, they didn't care.
How long did your dad march? How long did your dad?
He didn't march. He didn't march. He told me that as they started rounding them up and started heading them out of the camp, he pitched himself into a pile of corpses. and he hid there for almost 2 days. And when he finally got out of the pile of bodies, the Russian army had just gotten to the camp.
What did they do with him?
Well, they found out that he had been a partisan, and they inducted him in the Red Army Partisan Brigade.
I like it. I
Yep.
like it. And then what did he do? Go kill
And
some
he-
Germans? Go kill some Nazis?
sure did.
Some Nazis, as Brad Pitt called them in the Inglourious Bastards. Some Nazis.
Yeah, that was a very good movie.
I loved it. Somebody tweeted out something at me the other day about it, a listener, and he had the bear Jew. Remember the bear Jew with the bat?
Yep.
And so it made me remember it was like Brad Pitt goes, the bear Jew. And he comes out with and Quentin, was it Quentin Tarantino or something? No, somebody else was supposed to play the bear Jew. No, but somebody else was supposed to play the bear Jew, a real famous dude. I can't remember what, but he had a conflict schedule that we all know and like totally know who he is and he's cool. He couldn't do it, so that's when they got this guy who was behind the scenes. I read up his whole little bio because I was fascinated. Anyways, go ahead with where you're going.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't know that part about the movie. But my dad fought up until the Red Army reached Czechoslovakia, and then he finagled his way out of going into Germany. I think he was injured, but he was able to somehow get back to Budapest. And then after the war, he served in the Soviet army for a while and became a pilot in the Soviet Air Force.
Wow.
In Hungary. And then when the 10-day revolution happened, if you don't know what the 10-day revolt was, it was basically the Hungarian people rising up against the Soviets and hoping that the Americans and the British and the French were going to assist them.
And they didn't.
And they didn't.
Right.
Seems to be a repetitive thing throughout history.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't make that mistake in Ukraine.
Last question. Adam Sandler was supposed to be the bear Jew. I just looked it up real fast.
Adam Sandler was supposed to be.
He was so excited about that, too, especially you could imagine him. Okay, now tell me what your commentary is on what we're seeing today. Does this anti-Semitism, this sick, wicked, satanic Jew hatred, and hatred of Israel, does it surprise you? And what's your quick synopsis on it? We got to go, but what's your quick synopsis on it, brother?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be crushed. And it needs to be crushed not by legislation and all that stuff. It needs to be crushed by people standing up and saying, no, this is not what kind of people we are.
And not just Jews. Not just Jews. Us too.
It needs to be everybody.
Yes.
And
that's why I say all these people. I'm glad we got the mugshots from all.
It needs to be the same way that our rabbis marched with Martin Luther King. Abraham Joshua Heschel marched across the bridge at Selma, arm in arm with Martin Luther King. So it needs to be the same way for us. Why?
Let me ask you one last question. I mean, I'm super late, but you're so worth it. Why are so many Jewish folks a liberal Democrat and still not willing to just condemn Joe Biden for his pathetic his failure to respond and just be silent on this because he's afraid of the vote from the Arabs?
You want to know my honest opinion?
Yes.
My honest opinion is Jews have always looked at the best of what's in everyone. And liberal Jews are still holding out that somehow, some way, the best is going to come out of Washington, D.C. And they're being deluded.
Yeah. Jonathan, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and do not be a stranger to this show. What an amazing, wonderful caller you are. I can't thank you enough for your call. I am grateful. Thank you for sharing your dad's story and your grandparents' story.
Yeah.
It started to bring tears to my eyes about your grandparents. I'm so touched and hurt by what happened to them. And I'm so grateful that we were able to hear. And I'm a Christian, and I want to tell one more thing. My pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress, is a dear friend of Israel's and is a dear friend of Bibi Netanyahu's. He interviewed him for an event once when Netanyahu was coming out with his book, and he tells us the story in our congregation fairly regularly. It's so important, and it must be told about the Christians who listen to the Jews being taken away and others in the in trains being behind their church. They could hear their cries for help, and they sang the hymn over them. May that never, ever, ever, ever happen again.
Amen.
I closed my door today after thinking about my daughter and her friend who's misled on this. My daughter's not at all, I'm saying, but I'm saying her friend is. And I thought about that. I closed the door, and just today in a moment of passing, and I thought about that. And I thought about, the thought came into my mind that they will come for me next. They will come for me. If I'm hiding you, Jonathan, in my home, they will come for me, and they will kill me, and they will save you and put you in a damn concentration camp. Never again. Yeah. They come for you, they come for me, all of us.
Well, what they haven't counted on this time is that we have Israel now, and we are not going to get into train cars ever again.
No, and you thank you, God. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank God you have nukes. And I tweeted it out, and it's I believe it's still at the top of my Facebook and Twitter feed, and I'm going to keep it there until this is pretty much out of the news period, which won't be for a long time. May the Star of David crush the evil, sick, wicked bastards. I forget how I said, may the Star of David crush their enemies. Crush them. Crush them. We need to pray for that every day. Thank you, my friend.
Amen.
All right. Take care, brother. All right. Yes, sir.
Well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was worth going way over. I'll be right back on the Chris Crock Show. I've got some messages of hope on this coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.